You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I hate it when people say St. Paddy's Day. No, St. Patrick. Very disrespectful. How's everybody doing out there on this lovely Friday, March 17th, 2023? I tell you what, I started out the week in a survival suit on the waterfront. 3 layers of clothes and, everything else, shivering, heated gloves. I got, the battery gloves and it's really warm. And then today, t-shirt. 60 degrees here in the New York City area. It's funny, at the end of summer, beginning of fall, it's 60 degrees and everybody's shivering. Then, end of winter, 60 degrees, everybody's in t-shirts saying what wonderful weather it is. Anyway, I have a brief announcement today. I was contacted, or I should say more accurately, my wife was contacted because they called my home number today. And I will be a guest for the second time in a very short period of time, less than a month, I think it is, on Coast to Coast AM with Ian Punnet. That's available. Now, they have 600 radio stations. They're on their syndicated program, broadcasting worldwide. They also have a podcast that they release highlights on. And you can find out what time the show is on tomorrow at www.coasttocoastam.com. Wanted to thank Ian up front. Anyway, we're going to be talking about the East Palestine train wreck. We're going to be giving an update to that. And I found out some more information from my sources in the railway industry on a lot of this stuff on derailments and everything else. So I'll be sharing that tomorrow. We're also going to be doing a lot of stuff this weekend with the program. So stay tuned. So like my disclaimer at the beginning, I just started doing this recently, like this season 3, right? Usually we're not involved with the stories that we share, right? And, meant to be a flip comment, a wise guy, snarky remark, right? Well, we're all, we could call this program Safety Snarky, right? Because you get a lot of snarky remarks, wise guy remarks. But anyway, we're going to go. Hunter Biden sues repair shop owner over handling of laptop. Okay, I am going to, before we start, let me say, I did business with the owner of this shop, right? John Paul, he goes by the name. And Hunter Biden is suing the owner of a computer repair shop. Now, I bought a computer off of him about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. He is a very good friend of a very good friend of mine, and since has disappeared to an undisclosed location somewhere in Colorado. That's all I know. Hunter Biden is suing the owner of a computer repair shop where he allegedly dropped off his infamous laptop, claiming the man improperly copied and helped disseminate his personal data. Isaac has asserted, among other things, that Biden, right? Oh, I'm sorry. The suit filed Friday in U.S. District Court in Delaware is a response to the defamation action that the shop owner, John Paul Mac Isaac, launched in January against Biden, Representative Adam Schiff, CNN, Politico, and the Daily Beast. Isaac had asserted, among other things, that Biden, President Joe Biden's son, and others have wrongly suggested he was to participate in a Russian effort to undermine American democracy and the 2020 presidential election. The younger Biden's lawyers, led by Washington attorney Abe Lowell, are firing back. They arguing it is Isaac who committed wrongdoing and allegedly accessing and sharing data belonging to Biden. Now, I'm not an attorney here, but I thought it was pretty much understood, right, that computer security is an oxymoron, meaning that there is no such thing as computer security. If you're going to put it on a computer, chances are it can be accessed by someone, especially if you're on the internet. So that's number one. Number two is this. You drop off, and I'm not saying anyone did anything illegal here, but you drop off a computer with some illegal Guvno on there, guess what? Chances are, by law, the computer repair people have to notify the authorities if you're doing something illegal. And you can look up what the accusations are against Hunter Biden. I don't know how credible they are or anything else, but if those accusations hold, I'd be mad at John Paul for not turning in the contents. Now, how allies of Donald Trump, including Rudy Giuliani and some other people, reportedly got other radio talk show hosts, got copies of the stuff. Well, that's not unbelievable either, because even with this thing we have going on here, people send me information all the time. People talk to me all the time, and I'm sure the same thing goes to everybody else on this network that we're on, Safety FM. And, whether you're going to share it or not, is up to you. But so for example, Rudy Giuliani and some of the other people who have been accused of getting this material illegally, they actually have a Supreme Court precedent that if you're a reporter, and I believe Rudy Giuliani and some of the other people meet the definition of a journalist or a reporter, because Rudy Giuliani broadcasts out of New York City. And in New York, if you are getting 50% plus a little bit more of your revenue from journalism, or if you're hired as a journalist, guess what? You're legally a journalist. So that's my understanding of the law. That's why I'm very careful about what we discuss here on the program, because legally I'm not a journalist, right? So that's why I do things the way I do. But if you're a journalist, you have certain freedom of speech protections, and you have certain protections that people are not asserting with this. So I tell you what, we get information all the time here. I don't share it. Nothing really illegal, just inside information on things that I'm not comfortable in getting, and that's part of what this is. But anyway, back to the thing. If you're sending stuff out to a computer shop and there's illegal stuff on it, I don't know how you expect them not to report it to somebody, especially with some of the accusations here, if they turn out to be true with this. So I don't know. We'll figure things out here with this. And what I'm laughing about is the judge in this case has a very similar name of two people that I already know. So hold on, I'm going to send them over a joke. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm saying I like to have fun with people. Britain backs Rolls-Royce effort to develop a microreactor to power a moon base. Britain is pinning its hopes on nuclear power becoming the energy source that will fuel the next phase of human exploration of the moon, the country's space agency said Friday, announcing $3.5 million funding for Rolls-Royce research into how nuclear could be used as a power base on the moon. The UK Space Agency said the technology will provide the power for humans to live and work on the lunar surface, dramatically increasing the duration of the missions. And they say it's going to be, this microreactor technology is going to be sent to the moon by 2029. Now, this microreactor thing I've known about it for about 30 years. I've been reading about this basically my whole adult life, where every community would have a microreactor. That's where people are going with this. So rather than a coal-fired or a gas-fired or solar generation plant, by the way, solar, not sustainable. Not a sustainable energy source. I hate to break anyone's power, break anybody's power, break anyone's bubble here. But my opinion, not sustainable. Right, so you're still going to need other sources of power, whether they're fossil fuels, quote unquote fossil fuels, or nuclear power, or wind power, or something else. But anyway, now this is going to be very controversial. China proposed initiative on global civilization hailed. So we're not to Star Trek yet, right? We're not there yet, where we have one government here. And there's a lot of people in the religious community that are against one world government. People outside the religious community are against one world government. But leaders of political parties and organizations from around the world have hailed the China proposed Global Civilization Initiative, saying that it has great relevance together with a Global Development Initiative, a Global Security Initiative to build up countries' consensus on addressing mounting global challenges in terms of peace, security, development, and harmonious coexistence. This is from ChinaDaily.com.cn. Their comments came as Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, unveiled the Global Civilization Initiative on Wednesday at the CPC in dialogue with other people, right? Now, this is what... we all want to get along. We all want world peace. We get all of that. But this is what the issue is. And I'm going to be talking about politics here. Do I have swamp sound effects here? Hold on. No, I took it off. Well, you know what? We might as well could do this then. Okay. So, now this is what people want, is this sort of thing. We're going to all have kumbaya moment. We're all going to get together and have world government and everything else, and it's going to be great. right? And okay, it's good to have common values, keep pursuing peace, development, equity, whatever equity is. I don't know how to define it. Justice, democracy, and freedom. And that's all great and everything else. All right. Well, and that's where we need to get going. We're not at Star Trek yet, where we have one world government where we are able to do this. So what people have been pushing is federalism, meaning the government on the local level. Right? And I never got that, how they came out with that. But government on the local level, handling things and handling problems. When you have high-level government, whether it's federal or whatever, in this case, world government, how do you have accountability to anything that goes on? That's the argument against it here. So anyway, just something to think about. This is what is in the news. And how does this relate to safety? I'll say this much. You're going to, what do you do with global environmental problems when the decision makers are so far ahead above you that there is no accountability? We had discussed sovereign immunity already here. Imagine this type of sovereign immunity here, meaning that the government's not responsible when you have a world government or a global civilization. No one's responsible. That's not good. I mean, if I have a problem with my local congressman and a vote that he has, right, Congressman Lawler, guess what? I could go down and talk to Congressman Lawler. I could probably get a meeting with him. Anybody could. If you have a problem, I've done it with opposing politicians where I went down and I spoke to them, and you talk in a reasonable, measured thing. You're not going down there screaming and yelling. Screaming and yelling does work in this. And you can talk to them. Oh, well, this is what I believe. This is what I don't believe. Let's say that you have somebody, a representative, going to a world government. You're going to find them there. You're going to be able to talk to that person one-on-one. You're going to be able to. It's hard enough. We already have the United Nations. And when was the last time you ever heard of anyone going to the UN ambassador and saying, hey, you're supporting the wrong thing? That doesn't happen. No. It's just the way it is. So here we have at the border, right? Okay, here, hold on. Okay, it's like a graveyard. Record numbers of migrants are dying at the U.S. border. And, of course, this webpage shut down. Okay, local officials keep a refrigerated truck. This is from the Wall Street Journal today. To hold the bodies of migrants who drowned in currents in the Rio Grande while trying to cross the border into the U.S. Across the river, families having picnics or walking along the waterfront promenade of Pedro Negros, Mexico, say they sometimes see bodies floating by or bobbing among the reeds under a bridge. We had times when we received 4 or 5 bodies a week, said Hugo Gonzalez, owner of Funerarias Gonzalez. That sounds like a funeral home. At one point, there were a lot of corpses, and there was nowhere to put them. We didn't have enough refrigerators at the funeral home. A spike in deaths along the most dangerous stretches of the U.S.-Mexico border reflects the escalating number of migrants seeking to cross the U.S. from the troubled home countries. So, again, the human smuggling, everything else, big issue here. Hold on, there was another. Okay, so right now we're having huge border crossings in New York, Vermont, and other border states. So, hold on. We closed that window accidentally. So, border crossings, I'm sorry about that. I closed the window here. Border crossings from Canada into New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire are up tenfold. Local cops want help. We are seeing more and more people, and it can be deadly terrain if you're not familiar with it. I tell you what, you want to go to some rugged country? Go up to northern Vermont and New Hampshire in the wintertime. In the summertime, it's a problem if you don't know what you're doing there. So what happens is apparently people from south of the border come from various countries, and they go to Canada without a visa, and they cross into the United States. So this is becoming a big issue here on the northern border. Again, a very rugged country. It's not like all areas of the southern border. Okay, that's desert. That's also rugged country, but northern area, it's heavily wooded and everything else. And I don't know. It's not a good thing up there to be crossing the border, especially in the middle of winter. I mean, it's brutal out there. People are desperately trying to get here. I think this needs to be addressed somehow. And they're ending up dead. Okay, that being said, Montana, most polite state in the United States, while Californians could use some lessons and manners. So, this is a study from a lighthearted study performed by WordFinder, right? Collected Google Trends searching data from each state to pinpoint which parts of America most often search the web using polite words and phrases. They also measured the most searched compliments and terms of endearment. The most polite state based on their Google searches was Montana. More than 270,000 of their searches for 100,000 residents in the past year included polite terms and especially please. Okay, so no, people are doing that. So here we go. Politest searches by state. Here we have Montana. Please. Let's see what New York is. Cordial. Right, so that's a polite, when they have in a search engine, no, polite thing. Same thing for New Jersey, cordial. What is the most impolite state is California. Thanks. Right, that's their thing. Now, let's go into this. The politest searches by state are Montana at 273,000. Vermont at 64,000. Montana is very polite. It's like 4 times the number than Vermont. Alabama at 64,000 and change, right? New York is somewhere in the middle. I'm not going to count it up at 3,607. And New Jersey is towards the bottom of the list with 602. Yeah, big surprise there. Overall, darling and beautiful were the most commonly used terms of endearment in the U.S. Almost the entire West Coast was in agreement. Darling dominated searches in Washington and California, as well as Nevada, Utah, Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Michigan. Oregon was the only outlier with their top search pet name as Sweetheart. So where does, so California was darling. New York was term of endearment, baby. New Jersey, beautiful. Okay, popular term. I could see all of those. Now, Alabama. I think if I called any woman a term of endearment doll face, all right, I'd probably get slapped across the face myself. Doll face? Really? That's Alabama? That's like a... Whoa. Okay, now let's see. In Pennsylvania... Looks like it's hottie. I mean, this is a color code. Hottie. And North Dakota, honey. Kansas, Kansas is princess. Okay. Wyoming, South Dakota, and Iowa, sugar. And let's see, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Massachusetts is a wavy line. Bay. I guess short for baby. B-A-E. So, the most searched slang compliments. Right? We're having some fun here. The slang compliments. New York as Gucci. Beats the hell out of me what that means. Gucci. New Jersey. Jump for joy. Slang compliments. Jump for joy. Okay. California, jump for joy. Now, California, bussin'. I don't know what that means. Bussin'. Texas, purr. Well, slang. I don't know what any of these things. I'm afraid to say some of these things. Jay Allen threw me off the air. Ay. These are like obscene. So, check it out on Study Finds. Oh, they have. Here you go. Commonly shared among California Nevada, Utah, and Michigan, as the most searched positive sign term was bussin'. This means something is good, especially in reference to food. For example, that pizza was bussin'. You may recognize this term from classic surfer lingo, stoked, meaning enthusiastic or excited. Florida, hey, Lori, if you're listening out there, yeah, this is you, stoked, right? Meaning enthusiastic. She's a coworker of mine. Meaning enthusiastic or excited is Florida, Mississippi, North Carolina, stoked. Similarly, Kansas and Missouri made the most searches for the word amped. Okay, that's from like the 90s in New Jersey. Now, Colorado, Virginia, Minnesota, New York all feature Gucci. This versatile slang term is based on the luxury fashion brand, which explains why it's used to describe something fancy or stylish. Okay, Gucci could also mean something simply good. If someone asks you how you are doing, you might say Gucci, if you're doing just fine. Aptly. Now, what's the word for Alaska? Chill. Right? Referring to typically cool weather conditions of the last frontier. Chill is used to describe something or someone that is cool, easygoing, or to calm down. Environmental news here. Florida beaches can be dealt a 1-2 punch of red tide against a giant seaweed blob. Some of Florida's most popular beaches could be in for a 1-2 punch of trouble as thousands of spring breakers flock to the Sunshine State. A toxic algae bloom, known as red tide, is already killing fish along the Gulf Coast, causing a stench. Now a massive blob of seaweed, twice as wide as the United States, is drifting across the Atlantic and could wash ashore in the coming weeks, creating an even bigger mess. Just in time for spring break, right? It could be two problems. Turning into a bigger one, said Mike Parsons, a marine science professor at Glora Gulf Coast University. The algae bloom has essentially choked some sea life, producing a foul smell as dead marine animals wash ashore. Hey, I guess the people who moved down there during the pandemic, are going to be regretting this very soon. Or it may smell like home in New York and New Jersey. You never know. Especially you're up around exit 13 on the turnpike.
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com. In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to SafetyFM.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Poesl with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into SafetyFM.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Poesl with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy.
Okay. So, by the way, good luck, Jessica. Tomorrow, she's in a cheer competition with her team. So, anyway, all right. So, yeah, New Jersey is famous for a smell around exit 13 on the turnpike, New Jersey Turnpike. But the smell used to go from exit 13 all the way up to exit 15W, Doremus Boulevard in Newark. So what was the source of that smell? One was that back in the 70s, there was an oil refinery there. And we know how the 70s were with air pollution and everything. They were real bad. But they also put the turnpike on top of a sewage treatment plant. So you could imagine what the smell was. And up on Doremus Boulevard, there was a rendering plant where they used to process animal scraps for, and, melt down the fat and make soap out of it, sort of thing, and other industrial chemical. I mean, it was horrible. It closed down in the early 2010s. I know people on the cleanup. It was just, if you didn't, if you are having a problem losing weight and you can't afford semaglutide or Wegovy, right, or Ozempic, any of those, it's all the same glove, just get a job at a rendering plant or just park outside it. You ain't going to eat for 3 days, I tell you. So, Newsom makes abrupt reversal after tough talk on big oil. So Newsom said he's making major progress with the legislature on a pared back version of a price gouging bill. Democratic California governor made a sudden reversal this week on his effort to hit oil companies with price gouging penalties amid record high gas prices and an energy crisis. Newsom on Thursday unveiled a proposal creating a new watchdog arm within the California Energy Commission that would monitor daily petroleum market price fluctuations to ensure that market participants, quote unquote, play by the rules. So he's rolling back some of the stuff here with that. I think political reality might have hit him at a certain point with this. But, anyway, something to think about. New York man who supported ISIS arrested in an alleged plot to kill cops mayor during St. Patrick's Day parade. A New York man who expressed support online for the Islamic State is charged with plotting to kill police officers and threatening to kill a mayor on the street where a local St. Patrick's Day parade was slated to be held, federal prosecutors said. The person was arrested and charged with making threatening interstate communications, said the Justice Department. Where do they find him? So reportedly on social media and basically on social media. Several threats. So I don't know. We still have to deal with this. Utah man shot. No, we're not going to deal with that. New Jersey congressman call for halt of offshore wind projects amid state debate of whale deaths. Republican congressman called for a halt to offshore wind farm development, and the GAO, Government Accounting Office oversight of the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management's leasing process at a March 16th hearing on the boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey. Case in point, our friend of the program, Robert S. Green. He is in charge of the boardwalk, getting it all up and running for Labor Day. Now, overseeing all of the repairs, he's an engineer. So he's, so I have a little in on this here, right? Representatives Jeff Van Drew and Christopher Smith of New Jersey, Andy Harris of Maryland, Scott Smith of Pennsylvania convened the first congressional hearing into the matter amid a surge in whale and dolphin deaths along the Jersey shore, which they attributed to survey work for the wind farms. Now, reportedly, 29 whales have died on the East Coast since December 1st. This is what I'm going to say on this. All right. Is there a correlation? Possibly, between the wind farms and the whales. But there's I have a saying, and you're going to be hearing it more. Right? Bad information equals bad policy. I think before they start making accusations here, they have to get some more information here. What exactly is causing this? Right? It's just, I don't know. Right? The New Jersey Department of Environmental Quality, the EEQ, issued a statement on the eve of the hearing saying there is no credible evidence that offshore wind-related survey activities could cause whale mortality. And NOAA, right, the National Organization of NOAA, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, I'm going from memory here, says that nothing has been linked to these wind technologies. I don't know. Again, are we going to have a knee-jerk reaction here? Knee-jerk reactions are what we have to avoid doing. We have to have some type of good scientific information before we run off half-cocked here with this. Residents' right to be rude, upheld by Massachusetts Supreme Court. And why do they have this person? I'm looking at the article here. In a decision that jangled the nerves of some elected officials, the Massachusetts Supreme Court, Judicial Court last week reaffirmed a basic liberty established by the Founding Fathers, the right to be rude at public meetings. The ruling sent waves of consternation across the state, where many local select board and school committee members have emerged battle-scarred from the coronavirus pandemic and its fierce disputes over mass vaccines and remote learning, stemming from a lawsuit filed against the town of Southborough, Mass., by a resident who says their selectmen had silenced her unlawfully. The decision pushed back against attempts to mandate good manners. So, so that's what's going on there. I mean, I'll say this much. If you're trying to make a point with someone, the least effective way of doing it is to be rude. You're going to get pushed back. You're going to have problems and everything else. So when you're going to be addressing someone, especially in a public forum, like a public hearing, one, speak factually. Speak passionately, but speak passionately, but speak factually and with logic and reason. Because if you start to go out and start yelling and screaming, delivering any type of rude, personal, or slanderous remarks, guess what? You're not going to get your point across. And I understand this. They're calling this the Southborough's Massachusetts Civility Code for public comment at meetings. That has to be respectful and courteous, free of rude, personal, or slanderous remarks. I tell you what, if you go in there and you start calling people names, and this goes for the boardroom, this goes for job site meetings and everything else, it's not going to, you're not going to get your point across, and you're going to cause more animosity with this. Should it be illegal? No, it shouldn't be illegal. Not in my estimation. As long as you're not being overly disrupted, it shouldn't be illegal. But you're not going to make your point being rude or anything else. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. Now, this hits a little bit close to home for me. Vladimir Putin officially wanted on war crimes for abducting children from Ukraine. The International Criminal Court today accused Kremlin chief of the alleged war crimes and that his troops have meted out across Ukraine in the last year during their since his special military operation kicked off. So, if you're a longtime listener to the program, you know my mother, during World War II, we had a guest on, Imogene Salva, who wrote a book, One Star Away, about her family's experiences in Siberia in World War II. And my mother was in Archangel, Russia. I'm not going to pronounce it the way the Russians pronounce it because I can't, right? It's their northern ports city, where I had 12 family members that were killed, mostly cousins, and one uncle who was 3 years old, starved to death over in Siberia. And what it was a re-education camp. They took Poles out of Poland into Russia to go and talk and do re-education. So trying to get the Polish out of it. My mother, now food was so scarce that my mother gave my mother was given up to an orphanage to actually, so there would be enough food. And in that orphanage, what did they do? They taught them Russian. They taught them Russian history. They taught them how to be good citizens, good communists over there. So when my mother came back, and then my grandmother eventually, they were reunited over there, they ended up, my mother did not know any Polish. She was very young. Knew no Polish, only Russian. Then my mother said within 2 or 3 days she knew Polish all over again. She had forgotten her Russian. And this is what historically goes on in that area. So now Vladimir Putin has been accused, and this is not the first time. This has gone on a lot over the last year of doing the same thing with children in Ukraine, or disappearing children. I don't know if these are valid or not, but Putin's responses is that they have no jurisdiction. The International Criminal Court has no jurisdiction in this area. So that's my understanding of this. So this is from Vladimir Putin's spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, was quoted as saying, "We do not recognize this court," meaning the ICC. "We do not recognize its jurisdiction." And I don't know. That's what's going on there. Slovakia. So yesterday we covered a story here that Poland was sending four Soviet fighters to Ukraine to fight against Russia. All right. And so Slovakia is sending another 12 MiG-29s over to Russia. Over to Ukraine to fight in Russia. Why are they doing this? One, it's surplus equipment with that, right? So it's surplus equipment, number one. Soviet era, very little training the Ukrainians will have to do on this equipment. And my computer just locked up. You got to love this. We're still broadcasting, but again, no backup here. Hold on here. I hate it when the computer locks up. All right, hopefully it's just a lockup, and we can restart it. But anyway, so these are older. This is older equipment from Soviet built, and they're looking to get rid of them. The issue with Poland is that they're looking to get F-16s. They said, "Look, we're giving up 4 fighters. You're giving up fighters. We want F-16s." Sort of thing. United States has said, "No, you're not allowed to give out the F-16s." Okay, great. So that's what's going on over there with that. This is an escalation here by an escalation here. I mean, where are we going with this? Might have to reissue my book on nuclear terrorism here and stuff. We may have to be pushing Preston Carney's book, Nuclear War Survival Skills, because I don't see this ending well here for anybody. So I'm going to go to commercial break because I have to get this computer straightened out. So I'll be right back. Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Poesl at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Poesl with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
Safety Wars is streaming now.
safetyfm.com.
right, so we are back. Sorry about that delay there, but we're having issues here. So we're going to talk about money. Dow Jones Industrial fell 1.19% to 31,861. So what's going on here with the Dow Jones? Again, banks are going down. So issues. So I always debate whether I should say this or not. A lot of I've spoken to several other small business owners in the last week or so since this started happening, and believe me, there is something you really got to watch this. Something's got to give here. All right, S&P 500 dropped 1.1% also to 39,116.64. Nasdaq fell 0.74% to 11,613.51. Russell 2000 fell by 2.56% to 1725.89. U.S. Treasury note rose to the 3.430. All right, everyone's stressed. People are stressed. Banks are stressed. Bitcoin. What the hell's going on here? All right, it's up to 27,788. Yesterday, around this time, it was at 24, so it went up for 3,000 points in one day. And remember, that trades all weekend long. So on Monday, I'm not going to be here, by the way. Or if I am, it's going to be a pre-recorded program. Crude oil at 66.33. So crude oil dropped. What does this mean? So now we're at $66. Beginning of the week, it started at 76. Now we're at 66 a barrel. I don't know. Slowing down on the economy. So what they're predicting is that, here's the headline from the Wall Street Journal. U.S. crude slips below $70 a barrel. Economic fears and investors' flight to bonds push oil prices to 15-month lows. So maybe we'll get a little bit of a break here. Precious metals. Gold made a substantial rise today, $70. Silver at $22.91, up $1.06. Platinum up $3.80 and palladium up $3.20 an ounce. So precious metals are going up. I spoke to someone with talking about this. You ain't seen nothing yet is what they're saying. Again, I'm not giving financial data. I'm giving data, but I'm not giving an opinion here one way or another. But, it's not nice, right? Be careful, my friends. Again, safety means financial safety also. Safety wars, right? COVID-19. This is COVID-19. Well, this is from the Straits Times. Now, I was listening to Sheldon Primus today on his phenomenal podcast, right? The safety consultant. Now, Singapore is like on the cutting edge here, safety, and I believe it. But he did not mention the name of their acronym, right? For their OSHA group out there. It's the Ministry of Manpower, MOM for short. The COVID-19 pandemic, this is from Straits Times. The COVID-19 pandemic could settle down this year to a point where it poses a threat similar to flu, the World Health Organization said today. WHO voiced confidence that it will be able to declare an end to the emergency sometime in 2023, saying it was increasingly hopeful about the pandemic phase of the virus coming to a close. So as we know, on May 11th, that's the end of the COVID emergency in the United States, according to the president. So just under 2 months here. So, I'm not going to get the calendar out. Maybe we should have a countdown to the end of the pandemic, right? Last week, it marked 3 years since the United Nations Health Agency's first described the situation as a pandemic, though WHO chief Tedros Adhanom, last name, Ghebreyesus. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus insists countries should have jolted into action several weeks before. Okay. what, by the way, out of curiosity, what are the COVID statistics currently? So this is from the CDC COVID tracker home. New cases this week, 1,000, just shy of 150,000. Deaths this week, 1,706 is from the Centers for Disease Control. Hospitals, 2,645, and vaccinations are 16.4% of the population. Seems a little bit low. I'm not understanding here. All right. Total cases, 103 million. Total deaths, 1.1 million. And current hospitalizations are 16,391. So this is way down from what it was at the height of this thing here. So we're going to go into some OSHA news and DOL news. The U.S. Department of Labor recovers $353,000 in back wages for 322 workers after finding poultry catching companies denied workers full wages. Working a poultry catching facility is hard. I'm kind of like thinking of Rocky 1, right? Rocky, right? Where he's in there with Burgess Meredith, right? Mickey, and he's changing the chicken around, right? And he finally catches the chicken. I mean, is that what they're doing? Do we have a whole facility filled with Rockies chasing poultry around? I don't know. Working a poultry catching facility is hard, where people commonly face the risks of working with dangerous equipment on slippery floors around hazardous chemicals and are exposed to the possibility of illness for those handling live birds and the waste and dust they produce. Yeah, so anytime you're dealing with huge amounts of bird guano, right? There's a couple of hazards there. You have histoplasmosis hazard. You also have a really non-specific respiratory illness called organic dust toxic syndrome, which is usually what you get from chicken manure. I've had to work with chicken manure on a hazardous waste cleanup for ammonium perchlorate because chicken manure, they call it mushroom manure or mushroom. What's the word I'm looking for? Mushroom compost is what they call it. So anytime you see mushroom compost, it's chicken manure. And, you get what's called organic dust toxic syndrome, ODTS, with that. And, it's not good for your lungs. We'll put it, and it's primarily caused by funguses. And as we know, funguses are very difficult to treat. But at two poultry catching facilities in Alabama and North Carolina, the owner made work even more difficult for 322 employees by denying them their full earned wages. So not only is it an unsafe thing, now they're not paying them. So the division recovered $353,000 plus in back wages for the affected workers, whose average annual mean wage for their occupation was $25,930 to $31,640, right? So the workers in these cases handle an important step in food preparations that is not mechanized, as their labor is essential to the industry. So this reminds me of a story that I have where my friend Rob and Gloria, Rob, rest in peace. They were having a meeting at a facility. They were caretakers of a convent, and they were having a meeting in the convent for an organization that we used to belong to. And he says, Jim, just go through the backyard. And I had a camera with me on a tripod and everything. Again, old school, 2008, 2009 this was. No smartphones. And I said, okay, I'll walk through the backyard. And he meant to walk through one part of the backyard. I walked through where the chickens were, and we had this big freaking rooster in there. That thing was huge. The thing was like up to my waist, and I'm 6'4", right? And he kept on coming after me, and I kept on having to hit him with my camera tripod. Very nasty animals. Wow. And what was funny was that he was henpecked, right? The women in there were abusing him left and right. So, big and tough guy around me, but around the ladies, not so tough. So Fatal trench collapse in Vernon, Connecticut. This is from the OSHA website. From today, investigations by Department of Labor and Vernon Police lead to a first-degree manslaughter charges in Connecticut trench fatality. Inspectors with OSHA and special agents with the Department's Office of Inspector General and detectives with the Town of Vernon Police Department investigated the collapse of an 8-foot deep trench that killed an employee of a certain company in Manchester. A certain employee from a company that's based in Manchester, Connecticut. OSHA determined that the company failed to provide legally required safeguards and issued the company a citation for willful violations with proposed penalties of $375,000 plus. The company has contested OSHA's finding with the Independent Occupational Safety, Health, and Review Commission. On March 3rd, 2023, investigators from the police attempted to arrest the owner of the company, the operator of the equipment, on charges of first-degree manslaughter and first-degree reckless endangerment. The perpetrators, alleged, now face first-degree manslaughter and first-degree reckless endangerment charges for failing to provide legally required safeguards that could have prevented a deadly cave-in. These arrests are the result of collaborative investigations. So, Michael, on that, okay, so I guess, I hate to have a person die over this stuff, to have them actually enforce the law. Now, what do you mean, Jim? You mean to tell me that these types of things don't happen all the time? How many jobs do you think I've been on where people, oh, no, don't worry about it, Jim. We're not going to worry about the shoring today. We're not going to worry about the sloping. We're not going to worry about the benching. We're not going to worry about this. Happens all the time. I have we were doing a trench on a hazardous waste site one time, and the client supplied the equipment. I get there, and all the equipment's broken, deliberately. Do some air monitoring with that equipment, Jim. I ain't doing air monitoring with that. No. Sorry, can't do it. Called up my boss. My boss said, well, don't worry about it. Just don't do the air monitoring with it. So, anyway, it's... Okay, I thought I was off the air there. So anyway, that's all I have for this week. Remember, we're on Coast to Coast AM tomorrow night. Check your local listings, and they have a podcast, Coast to Coast Podcast. I'll be placing links on my social media accounts for this again. And you can visit us at Jim. Drop us a line, jim@safetywords.com, or give us a call, 845-269-5772. Have a great weekend, everybody.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.